Welcome to Martini Time. Beautiful Saturday here in Blackstone, the center of the world. But then you too are the center of the world. We're all centers of the world, like a center that has no location and it has no circumference. That, by the way, was one of the definitions of God. The center that has no circumference, the circle that has no circumference and no location. Where can you go that God is not? Where can you go that you are not? Thought of that? Wherever you go, you are there as the center. Just like on a GPS tracker. You're always the center of a GPS navigator. The world moves around you. As you move, the world moves. Always rebooting itself around you, shaping itself around you, like O.J. Simpson's glove. The world shapes itself around us. But we don't see it that way in our perception, in our culture. We're acculturated to see the world as two, me against the world. That's the way we are acculturated in our particular culture. Other cultures have existed where that paradigm doesn't exist. But we don't want to get into that. Let's talk about our culture and what's in the news. Well, hurricanes are in the news. You know, you realize that we have been fixed on hurricanes now for how long? How long is Harvey? See, Irma picked right up where Harvey left off. Where is Harvey now? Nobody's heard of Harvey. Harvey's, of course, everybody's still soaking wet down there in Texas, but we haven't heard anything about Harvey. But that's the media. That's not Harvey's fault. The media focuses on what's the threat. It's kind of like if your big toe hurts and it's killing you. Oh, God, how can I stop my toe from hurting? Well, hit your thumb with a hammer. Oh, my God, my thumb is hurting. See, toe's gone. Irma, see, Harvey's gone. It's kind of like tinnitus, you know, ringing in the ears. If you're not conscious of it, it's not there. So if we're not conscious of Harvey, it's not there. I know it's real there, but not if the media was our mind, it wouldn't be there. You see, our mind is so powerful that whatever it's conscious of exists. If we're not conscious of it, it doesn't exist. Now, I know you'd say, well, do you mean that Texas doesn't exist? Did you not? No. Let's not get into that. But anyway, so I've been talking about hurricanes here because it's such a great metaphor. So I've been milking this little thing like a dairy man. I'm just milking that hurricane metaphor for all the milk I can get. So what I wanted to talk about today and explore with you, now don't forget, I titled this talk, Stories to Wake Up By. Now, a story to wake up by is a dynamic story that the storyteller creates in order to wake himself up. And hopefully you too as the listener. So the story to wake up by is a living story, a living word that is created on the spot to inform the speaker as well as the listener. Now you may think that's poo-poo, but I know it's true because I'm doing it. I know when I'm informed and when I'm not. I know when I'm speaking extemporaneously or not, you see. So anyway, the hurricane metaphor I wanted to look at today was the hurricane is mind. Now we look down on it into outer space and you see this big hurricane. It's got a little eye. That little eye is me. It's our conscious self. It's our me. And we think this is our individuality in our culture. We're acculturated to believe that this little conscious bubble of me is an actual, free, independent self with free will. That little sense of self is believed to be an actual, maybe a soul, a person. Person's a thing. A profile. I got a profile with all my likes and dislikes. I know who I am because what I like and what I don't like. Everybody is acculturated. This is a new word I just learned. Acculturated. But we're acculturated to see ourselves as having qualities. Like, a thing has qualities. That's the way you know it. All right? So we know ourselves by our qualities. Got hair. Oops, people say I have nice hair. Qualities. Character has qualities. My likes and dislikes. My behaviors. All these things are qualities, you see. And so we just add them all up and say, that's me. But that's the eye of the hurricane. So this mind, you see, is bigger than that. We think I'm the mind. We think my little me is the mind. No. Mind is vast. Mind, when I say you are the world and the world is you, your mind creates the world you perceive and live in like a hologram. Our mind creates the world like a hologram with us in it as a little bitty me. And so I've got the things I can control, like I can control. I just wanted to pick up and have another sip of my martini. I made a martini, or I may not make a martini. No, that's my free will. I choose a martini. Somebody else doesn't have to choose it. That's their free will, you see. So we work in that realm of what I can control. Now, of course, I can't control my heartbeat. I can't stop breathing. I can't stop looking at women's boobs. I'm very aware, I digress, but I have to share this, When I'm confronted with a woman with exposed cleavage, my body, eyes, want to go down to it, and my mind is aware of that. My mind is saying, stay up there, eyes, stay up there, stay up there. My little self, my little me is saying, don't look, don't, and my big me, my big self is going, I want to look. So there's a little me and a big me. But the big me is unconscious. And I just brought up that little example of the big me wanting to look at the big boobs and the little me saying, don't look, you see. So there's this tension. And mindfulness makes it funny. Mindfulness is aware of the tension between little me and big me. That's why mindfulness, which I have been practicing since, well, my whole life, but seriously since 2005, creates an awareness that sees the conflict between big me and little me. But let's talk about big me. Big me, it's not pig me, big me is unconscious and we think involuntary. Big me is what runs the body. A big me is what makes the heart go, and the kidneys, and the gallbladder, and all this organism work, you see. So little me doesn't have to worry about that. Little me can take his hands off the wheel. Look, Ma, no wheel, no hands. Big me is running this thing, you see. So big me is kind of like an automatic, and little me thinks it's running the show. But little me is ambiguous. Now here's where this is really difficult to explain, so hang in there. Let me point this out here. Hold on just a minute. Ambiguity. Ambiguity. You see the old woman, you see the young woman. You see the old woman, here's her here's her nose, eye, mouth. You see the young woman? This is looking at her right profile. This is her right eyelid. Here's her chin. Here's her right ear. Here's a necklace. You see that? This is a classic Gestalt picture of ambiguity. Ambiguity means that There are two here, but they're mutually dependent. So you can't have one without the other. You can't erase the young woman without erasing the old woman. You can't erase the old woman without erasing the young woman. They are mutually dependent, but they're different. When you see the old woman, that's all you see. But you also notice that if you stare at the old woman, the young woman appears. And then you stare at the young woman, I'm going to hold the young woman, and then the old woman appears. Then I'm going to hold that old woman, I'm going to fix it. I don't want that young woman to appear. Hold, and then she appears. They oscillate. So ambiguity oscillates. Can't stop it, you see. So that's also the yin-yang. So ambiguity is a split of the one into two mutually dependent opposites that cannot be separated, yet we are commanded to be one. In other words, if God had one law, it would be let there be one. And I think that's in the Bible. God, Yahweh says, let there be one God. Right? Let there be one. But the one is not a thing. Because as soon as you say the one is a thing, you've created, in order to create a thing, in order to create a thumb, you've created all these other fingers. You see? Whatever you say is the one also is the one because it's not that. So you can't create the one without creating its opposite. And then you have an oscillation. See? Because the division in the one is created by the mind, by the perceptual mind, by the acculturated mind. Our acculturated mind creates two out of one. And the two is me and the world. That's what we're born into. We just engrave that into our big me. Into our big me has been acculturated by our culture like a tattoo. This division is tattooed into big me. So little me just lives in it. He thinks that's the way the things are. He thinks that's what's going on, you see. Because big me, which is the more powerful mind, that's why big is bigger. Big me is so powerful. It knows what to do. It runs the heart. It makes this whole thing work. You mess around with it, big me restores homeostasis. You let big me alone and you'll restore your health. Big me knows what to do. If little me tries to fix it, it's going to screw it up. This is the whole movement behind homeopathy and organic foods and all that, you see. And, let big me alone. Just like a snow globe. Shake it up, let it alone. It'll settle, you see. So big me knows what to do if you don't mess with it and start injecting chemicals into it. You start injecting chemicals into it, it gets all ambiguous. Well, if I do that, this is going to happen. But if I do that, this is going to happen. Oh, shit. And then we're just constantly trying to restore balance by making imbalance. So we're looking at big me as a hurricane. And little me is the eye. Now the eye moves with the hurricane, but it thinks it's controlling it. The eye moves with the hurricane, the me moves with the big me, and it thinks it's running it. No, it's not. So what does big me do? Well, big me does take some directions from little me. So if little me is ambiguous, and all little me's are ambiguous. All little me's are ambiguous because the unambiguity would be the one that includes these two halves. So the one is not going to be, is the one without a second. Now the only one, in this picture as a metaphor, The only one without a second is the ink blot before you perceive the old woman or the young woman. So perception creates one or the other. But we must have one, is the commandment of God or the universe. Well, the only one here in this example is the ink blot that is pure potential. The ink blot is pure potential out of which the old woman and the young woman rise. And perception chooses which one to see. But in this particular example, it gets into an oscillation because it's ambiguous. You see. But the one is the ink blot prior to duality of the old woman and the young woman, of me and the world, you see. So prior to, let there be one, the one that is prior to me and the world, the young woman and the old woman, that bitch, you see, between that is pure potential. That's not divided. Pure potential is undivided. Pure potential is unambiguous. Let there be pure potential. Now what happens if there's pure potential? Well, you create yourself out of potential. And that creation is unambiguous. When you create something, it's unambiguous. An artist knows this. If an artist creates something, it's a coherent whole. So this martini glass here, while it's a form, it was potential. And an artist put monkeys on it. 2 monkeys. Ambiguous. Which one is the real monkey? See? But the truth is the martini glass. But then it's divided into 2 monkeys. Which one is the real? Which is the old monkey? Which is the young woman? Well, I don't know. Whoa. It's this one. No, it's this one. Now we're getting into politics. This one's the left is right. This left monkey is the right one. No, this one is the right monkey. No, this one's the right one. No, this one's the right one. I'm going to shoot you. No, I'm going to shoot you. What's the truth? The martini glass. The potential. The screen upon which the monkeys play. If you can get to that potential, you can create a new game. You can create a new self. You can create a new America, a new reality. That's unambiguous. For a while. It'll soon divide into 2 more monkeys. But for a while, there'll be one America. The last time we had one America was World War II. After World War II, it divided into 2 monkeys. Left and right. Still, monkeys still playing. Isn't that a good analogy? I like that. Okay. I don't know if we don't have time to go any further into this. I didn't know I was going to end up here, but it's a good place. We create. We are acculturated now. We are acculturated. We are programmed by our culture now to create everything into 2 monkeys. I don't care what comes up. I don't care what martini glass comes up. We create 2 monkeys out of it. It's called fair and balanced. Fair and balanced. Or it's also called the teeter-totter in the playground. If you say something is right, if you say something is right here, if you say something about anything in a political framework, it's going to divide into left and right. Well, Obama did it. Hillary did it. Oh, that's just liberal backlash. You see. So each side will balance, and the balancing is trying to get to number 1. But we only get to a 1 that is 2. And now it's called false equivalency. Now we've got the absurdity of Trump saying, this news, what I say is true, what they say is false news. I got the true news, or it's alternative news. We have 2 newses now. both equally true. This is true, this is true. That's the old lady and the young lady. And we oscillate back and forth. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm going crazy. I got to find the one truth. What is it? When we're in an oscillation, this is the skill of the autocrat. And society or culture is an autocrat. Culture is an autocrat. Because it has one thing in mind, which is the preservation of culture. This is not a condemnation of culture. We have to live in it. It's the fishbowl. But you can't change it, but we can see through it. We can't fix it because we're in it. You can't live without culture. The fish can't live without a fishbowl, but he can see through it. We can make the culture transparent to the transcendent. We can make the culture transparent to the ink blot behind the old and the young woman. We can make the culture transparent to potential. We can make the culture of ambiguity transparent to our own creativity, which is joy, which is passion, which is aliveness. So think about that hurricane. I'll see you in the morning.